I did it, boys. I did the impossible. I made the Zelda formula perfect, so perfect as a matter of fact, that it will undoubtedly unite the two sides of the Zelda fandom, therefore making me the undisputed pioneer for the next 20 years of Zelda games, along with all of you, my glazed army right behind me. Just kidding, Zelda fans getting along? Not on this planet. But I do feel like I've found the perfect combination of open air and classic 3D Zelda that could be the definitive perfect Zelda formula. Hey there all you beautiful guardians of the glaze. Welcome back to the Milky Donut. If you're new here, this is the Milky Donut. We do all things movies, video games, and pop culture. If you're not new here, well, man, you are one good-looking subscriber. I should mention that I do have a goal of reaching 10,000 subscribers as quickly as I can, which is going amazing. The last few videos, the love has been incredible. Go ahead and like this video and leave a nice glazy comment for a chance to become subscriber of the week, as you can see here. I should also mention that I just started an Instagram account, an official Milky Donut Instagram account. I will leave the link in the description. Go ahead and follow that for updates on upcoming videos, and you just might be able to even message me for ideas and topics you want to see videos about. And with all that being said, let's get into how I fixed the Zelda formula. Side note, I've gotten some complaints recently. You know, one complaint, but multiple people liked it, so I'm gonna make a little bit of a change. You guys don't like the fact that I'm blocking the gameplay in some of my clips here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and hit one of these. So there you go, you little glazers, you happy? You can now see the 3 pixels you were missing out on before. Now, all jokes aside, it was bugging me too, actually. After they mentioned that, I was like, you know what? I do kind of want to see the full picture, because I have OCD and I just wasn't working out. So from now on, unless it's like not important or it's a photo or, you know, whatever, I'm just feeling like irritating your little demons inside, I'll be over to the side from now on. First things first, I promise I am not a Zelda YouTube channel, I swear. I like to make videos about Zelda, and I just so happen to live in a Kokiri house, which you can see here, and I might say that it's coming along very nicely, by the way. And my favorite game series slash piece of fictional media of all time may or may not be the Legend of Zelda series, but I promise I'm not a Zelda YouTuber. Right, anywho's, you probably know by now that I much prefer the classic 3D Zelda formula. I mean, I've only said it 5 million times, but I, along with a lot of other classic 3D Zelda fans, have expressed concerns about the future of the franchise moving towards a completely open world formula. And I know you can stop typing your comments saying, "Get over it, Milky, classic Zelda is done and not coming back, open world is better, and you just need to accept it because Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are the best-selling Zelda games of all time, so shut up, you soggy, pathetic pastry." I may have paraphrased there a bit, but I have gotten comments pretty close to that on my other Zelda videos defending more linear Zelda games. First off, I do understand that the Breath of the Wild era games are the best-selling games in the series, so I don't blame Nintendo for wanting to continue in that direction. However, I do think that at least part of the reason why Breath of the Wild sold so well is because the console it was on is one of Nintendo's best-selling consoles of all time. All the other Zelda games didn't have that kind of player base to even have the chance to make that much money. But that doesn't change the fact that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are the best-selling Zelda games in the series. And before you say that I hate these games, I love Breath of the Wild. I just made a video glazing that. You should go check it out. But Tears of the Kingdom did disappoint me quite a bit. I thought it was repetitive and not as fun as Breath of the Wild, and it didn't do it for me. I didn't want to go back to the same Hyrule. I initially had fun for about the first 20 hours, and then I realized that I started the game in the best area there was, which is the main Sky Island, and then it kind of just dwindled from there. But regardless of my opinion, I do understand why people love this game, and it did so well at the end of the day, so I do understand why Nintendo wants to continue in that direction, like I said. But I feel like staying exclusively open world and the exact formula that these two games are is not only what we shouldn't do, but it's almost a disservice to the Zelda franchise as a whole. And what I mean by that isn't that open world Zelda isn't good, it's just doing the same thing over and over again isn't good, as we saw with old 3D Zelda and Skyward Sword, which is why we got Breath of the Wild in the first place. Both of the formulas have pros and cons that make these games good and not so good, but if you combine the two, I think we could have the best Zelda experience of all time. Do I think that Zelda games should be open air moving forward? Yes and no. I actually don't have an issue with open world Zelda games at all. I actually fully welcome it, and I think it adds a ton of exploration and longevity for playing the games, so I think it's a good thing. My issue is I just simply want one thing. dungeons and temples, good dungeons and temples with their own atmospheres and themes and mini bosses and big bosses. And I'm not talking about Tears of the Kingdom temples, because yes, I know that they tried to incorporate them after people complaining that they weren't in Breath of the Wild, but they just, honestly, I would have rather had them just not put them in at all, because the build up to the temples was better than the actual temples themselves, and they were still open air for the most part. I don't like terminals. It just feels like I'm charging up a battery to get to the next room. I want small keys and mini bosses and dungeons and scary and enemy. Like, I want old school Zelda dungeons. You can make the overworld of Hyrule as open as you want. As a matter of fact, I actually encourage it, because I think the exploration of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is amazing, and I think the Zelda franchise needs that, and it should stay there. But if you mix that with linear closed-in dungeons, I mean, I feel like that would be the best scenario for Zelda. I feel like that's what Zelda is meant to be, because the original Zelda is open world and meant to let you just go out on your own, and then the 3D Zelda formula came in and was like, hey, here's some structure, here's some items, here's some cool dungeons to explore. I mean, if you lock these two formulas in a room and wait long enough for them to have a baby, I feel like that is the definitive version of what a Zelda game should be, and what it has the potential to be. I mean, am I crazy? I feel like that's a no-brainer. I feel like that would be amazing. The Zelda franchise definitely lends itself to be open world, and I am not going to argue that, because I feel like it was always meant to be, and that's what it is in its nature. However, it is also very well known for its structure and its dungeons and its story, and regardless of what you say, you could say that Nintendo doesn't care about the timeline, or that they don't care about story, which I disagree with. I feel like there was an original timeline. There are direct sequels to games that are meant to tie into each other. Yes, they might have gotten a little discombobulated when the internet went crazy with it, and then they were like, well, great, now we have to make all the games tie in somehow. But I feel like there was a definitive timeline, and there are good stories. I mean, Ocarina of Time is the hero's journey to a T, and it's amazing. Twilight Princess is about abandonment and growing up and dealing with the dark demons inside of you. I mean, so yes, there is good stories, and I feel like that's one thing that's missing from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Breath of the Wild, I feel like, gets away with it because it was meant to be so far in the future. The story, the in-game characters forgot about the story, so that makes sense. But everything happens in the past, and same with Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, they kind of tried, but it's just not really. It's really just not. So I want a story that unfolds as you play the game, so you actually have a sense of progress and a sense of story, and one that makes sense within the open world, because Tears of the Kingdom did not. You could love this game, but the way that they handled the open world and the storytelling just doesn't work, because you would complete something, you'd complete one part of the story, and then you'd talk to an NPC or a big character, like a big point in the game, and they had no idea that you just saved Zelda. So it just doesn't make sense. So I think if you can keep the open world, but just make a story that's either doesn't try to tell a full-blown story, so then there's just not even the issue of, inconsistencies, or they figure out a way that works. Either you go the Elden Ring style that just drops little bits of lore, which works really well for that game, or you actually just give a full-blown story, but make unlockable areas where you have to go to at a certain point to progress the story. And with dungeons and story, I feel like they should bring back at least some dedicated items to dungeons. I know that it's kind of hard to do in an open world, because once you get the item, it kind of has to be useful outside of that dungeon. But you'd be lying to yourself if you said that we have not gotten items that are totally useless. I mean, the spinner from Arbiter's Grounds in Twilight Princess, like, you literally use that in that dungeon, and then you just have it in your inventory, making poor Link carry around a 50-pound thing for no reason. That being said, I feel like it'd be pretty easy to give you dedicated cool items. Maybe it's like a unique weapon that doesn't break, and it's, you find it in one area and it's hard to find, and it's cool when you find it, because it's like, oh, I just got rewarded for exploring this dungeon, and now I have something cool that I can keep and use, not a weapon that breaks after 5 hits. And I'm really tired of the breaking weapons, man. I'm not gonna get on that soapbox right now. It was cool in Breath of the Wild. I was fine with it, but man, just give me some weapons I can give me a big Goron sword, okay? And speaking of the big Goron sword from Ocarina of Time, you could do something easily like that, where you just give us a side quest and we go around Hyrule and gather materials or do things for certain NPCs, and we come back and you give us or make us a weapon that we can keep. I'm really putting the emphasis on keep here, in case you can't tell. But an open world completely lends itself to these types of side quests, and it's like mind-blowing to me that Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom didn't really have anything like this in them. Not to mention, they didn't give us fishing in the 2 games that have they have an ocean and like 100 lakes and 100 rivers, and we can't fish. who who do I need to email to put in a formal complaint? I mean, like, we can build boats and rafts. Fishing, that's too much. That's too much. You can build a spaceship, but you ain't gonna be able to fish, big dog. That is where the current Zelda team draws the line. And I can't help but think if this Ocarina of Time remake does actually happen, it has to be kind of a test to see how classic 3D Zelda would do in a modern gaming audience with, you know, new Zelda fans that are only used to open world Zelda games. I mean, Metacritic says that Ocarina of Time is the best game ever made. I say it's the best game ever made. It's at least one of the best games ever made. So I really hope that this game does well, because as much as you guys love to tell me that classic 3D Zelda is dead and linear Zelda is dead, I really don't think it is. And if this game does well, it might not replace the open-air mainline Zelda games, and I don't even want that to be the case. Like I said, I think open world lends itself to the Zelda series, and I think it should be there. It just should be balanced with the things that also make the Zelda franchise so unique and what makes it so fun. But I truly believe if they just made an open world Zelda game, whether it's the next Zelda game that comes out, if they could make it open world, but also give 6 or 7 dedicated, closed-in, linear dungeons, with actual enemy variation. I don't want just small guardians and like 2 different types of enemies that are not in the overworld, even though I'm pretty sure every enemy in the dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom are like in the overworld. So there's not even like anything, there's no element of surprise. It's crazy because those games are so heavily focused on exploration, but then when you actually get to like a unique area, there's really no exploration because the same enemies are there. You can kind of just walk around or climb walls. Well, I mean, you can't climb all the walls in the dungeons, but like for the most part, you can basically do whatever you want. So there's no sense of like, ooh, what's this door? And where's the key to this door? Then there's a secret mini boss back there. Like it'd be perfect if they could mix these two. Give me items, dedicated items. You know, give me a good story, and have the balls to make places that are blocked off that you can't get to until you reach a certain point of the game, or you do a certain thing, or get a certain item. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Restrictions in certain areas are not inherently a bad thing, and I will die on that hill. It's just when things are completely limited and completely linear, you know, it gets a little boring. But then if things are completely open and there's no structure, players often pick the path of least resistance. So sometimes it's more satisfying to figure out a puzzle that has one way to solve it than, you know, like I've said it multiple times, you build a little bridge with some sticks and then you figure it out. But, I'll get off my soapbox now. But I think the Zelda franchise has so much potential moving forward. I mean, we have the Ocarina of Time remake hopefully coming, which will be amazing, and I'll probably shut up about this for like the next 5 years if I just get a good remake of Ocarina of Time. But I really hope that that game does well, because if that game does well, they could just incorporate some of the elements of that into open world Zelda, and I think that would be the definitive way to play Zelda. But what do you think? Do you think that it should be open world and completely open world? Do you hate linear Zelda? Do you love linear Zelda? Do you hate open world or love open world? Let me know in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to become a guardian of the glaze, and I'll see you next time on the Milky Donut.